Alright, busy gamers, welcome to Enhance Ephemeral Gaming, where I try to bring you the best games to fit into your busy schedule. I'm Adam, and of course today we're going to be looking at a new game called Tactics Ogre Reborn. Now, if you're already familiar with the First Look series, feel free to go ahead and skip straight to the gameplay or the discussion session. And if you're looking for the full review with all the scores, I'm going to put that link in the show notes below as soon as that's posted. If you're not familiar, I'm going to explain it just a bit. So those first few minutes of a game are so crucial. They're going to be setting the tone and determining if a game is really going to grab a hold of you and to make you want more of it. Games that require you to put in quite a bit of time just to get going, to get into the story, to really even get a feel for it, don't really fit this particular channel, as I'm looking to develop a brand in which we are efficient with our gaming time. I want you to make the most of your fun time. I want you to make the most out of the downtime you get in your busy lives. So for this series, I'm going to be bringing you along with me as I take that first step into a game. I'm going to be putting a timer up in the top right hand corner of the screen, and I'm going to be just playing a game for 30 minutes. Now, as I play, I'm going to be giving you my live thoughts and reactions before I give you a short summary at the end of a game discussing what was good, what was bad, and how excited or not I am about playing through the rest of the game in order to build out the review. Okay, so I've switched over, I've got my headphones on, I'm ready to get this thing going. So, like I said, for today's first look, we're going to be taking a look at Tactics Ogre Reborn. This is a tactical role-playing game based on a 2010 release with the same name. Now, remakes and remasters have been really popular over the past few years, and for me, they're kind of hit or miss. But that's just my perspective. Now, Tactics Ogre stands out as something I need to try based on its place in the Ogre Battle series. It is the second entry out of 3, and the third entry, Ogre Battle 64, A Person of Lordly Caliber, still kind of stands out to me as one of my favorite formative gaming experiences during my childhood. I always loved this tactical-based game, and I've enjoyed games like Fire Emblem Three Houses, and things like Triangle Strategy, etc., or Bravely Default, in modern times. So this game is story and tactics driven. It's one of those games that as the game opens, you are placed in a world with an uneasy peace. In this particular piece, it's going to be between 3 separate factions, a piece that unfortunately is not going to last. Now, our choices in this story matter, both in the battle and in the dialogue, as we shape who will inevitably control the Valerian Isles, which is the setting of this particular story. Now, you see some of the opening story playing out in the background as I'm talking. This is basically just setting the stage for the tactical game we're going to be playing. There's a lot we're going to see here, the elevation, the terrain, and the leveling of units. And so I'm pretty excited to get this going. It doesn't build the same as many other tactical games that I think you're going to be used to and that I think I'm going to be used to, so I hope I do it justice and I'm able to kind of move through. It is a weighty game in that there is a lot of depth in the character development and choices, and so there's probably going to be a little bit of discussion on that, and we might get bogged down. But we're going to do our best. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get that timer started for the 30 minutes. Hit that start button and get going.
To vie for supremacy in the south, the Galgastani and the Walister.
All right, we've got our timer,
7 men in 10 were Galgastani,
and we're gonna get going. Tactics Ogre Reborn. Now, let's go ahead and get us an option check. Got some master volume, music, environment effects, system voice. I don't see a difficulty setting here. In theory, I was actually going to go ahead and up the difficulty. That's not to be bragging. I just find that some of these games, I tend to do a bit more grinding than I probably should, and that grinding inevitably makes things easier. The wheel begins to turn here. Reminds me of the Wheel of Time, though I did just kind of reread that, so it's going to be prevalent. You know what? I'm going to use my real birthday. So if anybody wants to wish me a happy birthday on April the 14th, feel free. Day 8th of White Scale. I always like when we're converting a normal date to some fictional date here. I'm sure there's a formula, but I never work it out. How would you bring together two disparate clans? I would never force anyone to do anything. Sometimes I have a problem with the way we manipulate people due to religion, and so I will answer the way I would truly answer. I would by diplomacy, or I would at least try. How would you define victory? Okay, so I'm liking that there is this early choice, which I'm going to guess does impact the story, does impact the factions that I belong to. So, ending the conflict, vanquishing my foes, or preserving my allies. So, vanquishing my foes is not really where I'm at here. I'm between ending the conflict and preserving my allies. Now, I feel like ending the conflict does preserve my allies. So maybe, you know, I could say I could sacrifice someone for the greater good. I will say ending the conflict because I think that's probably the most important thing here. I will also say that I find this art to be beautiful. It's kind of like a little tarot card type thing. The world. What is God to you? A weapon, an exemplar, an illusion. Ah, this is tough. It's definitely not a weapon. Though I feel like people do use it that way. I'm going to go with an illusion. I'm not overly religious personally, though that's not super relevant here. I am a believer, so... The devil will grant you any wish for a price. What are you willing to endure? Wow. None of this. I don't make deals with devils here. Would not be relentless fear. Ugh. Disfigurement or isolation. It's virtually the same thing in my mind. If you're grotesquely disfigured, you are typically isolated. Let's just go with complete isolation and go with that. A lot of choices here. More choices than I expected. A fire engulfs your home. Whom do you save from the flames? My beloved, my child, my parents. Oof. My child. My child has the least ability to save themselves. Whose blessings do you seek? Ah, okay. Goddess of Earth, Goddess of Lightning. Cool horse. So water with a little dragon there. Pretty cool armor, actually. I utterly hate this Goddess of Air. I don't understand the cheetah thing, so it's definitely not going to be that. Goddess of Ice looks pretty cool. I kind of like the balance. Goddess of Fire. Almost certainly going to be water or ice. I like the little dragon in the armor. We're going to go with water. That goddess is my patroness. A lot of choices up front. More choices than I expected. Which path will you walk? The curtain rises. So I'm wondering how different this could play out. I'm assuming there are quite a few different paths, but exactly how differently they play out in the game will be interesting. Now, I believe there's also a fair amount of end-game content in this game. This game has done what it can to give you something to do at the end, and so I believe there's like level 100 content or post-game challenge content, which I do like. I don't know that it has a new game plus, but I think that's kind of taking the place of it, so it's good to know. There's a fair amount of intro here. Now it's possible, because it does look like it's going to force me to watch these opening credits here, that you're going to see an edit where you don't have to see these opening credits. So if that is the case, you're probably going to see me cut out here and then reappear. Okay. We're through the opening sequence. I feel like it bogged down a bit there, so...
Then it's time. Right, sister?
Mostly just we were watching some tragedy and things happening.
To end this madness. We can't beat him, you know.
Somebody watching over his towns burned and people were arrested.
It's foolishness to think the three of us might defeat the Dark Knights.
They're the ones who have been foolish.
Dark Knights?
Don't tell me
And some
you're
rebels
scared.
here, it seems, or some prospective rebels, which I assume that I will be taking
That's enough, Vice.
a role of. The female being the voice of reason here.
No, this won't end well.
Lancelot is captain of the Dark Knights.
Not sure how I feel about Lancelot as a direct ripoff with a S instead of a C. A source of backram power.
Lancelot, and you remove one of the pillars supporting them. The Buckram will falter. If only... Yet that moment will be all the encouragement the Galgastani require.
The turmoil
Okay.
of the last
So
war
again,
is
we're
only
we're
just
we're
settled.
basically starting a rebellion
Let's
here, it
start
seems,
another.
or at least that's the goal here.
Are we Walister so free of turmoil now, Koshua? We are less
And
than
we're
vermin
kind of
in
talking
their
about the
eyes.
benefits of
Insects
whether
crushed
there
underfoot.
is indeed peace
If we
or an
begin to
appropriate peace here.
We'll die.
Let's see how this plays out.
We'll flank them. Right.
Okay, so we are indeed probably going to enter a battle straight up here. I would say I feel like this is playing out maybe a bit slower than it needs to be to get us right into the action. We have an objective. It's going to be 5 against 3, assuming the girl does fight, which I cannot imagine she does not. We've got turn order down bottom here, which is a little difficult to follow. It's not too bad. Units with the lowest recovery time move first. Order in which units move is called attack turn. That makes sense. It's pretty similar to other units in other games. Issue a game, place cursor on the active unit and place space. List of available commands such as move and act will appear. Not issue commands to your units during the attack turn of enemies or to units not under your control. You can press shift, left shift to interrupt, enabling you to examine units and perform similar tasks. Refer to the play guide in the Warren report. Okay, so in general this is standard. I would assume it will prompt me every time it is my turn. We can do weapon attack, short sword, buckler, small shield used to deflect rather than withstand, okay? Cast stones, we can throw some things, throw a nearby stone. I don't know that that does damage. It's difficult to see. I do see some attack powers here. See that it has 40 attack power. I would be surprised based on that. Let's actually see if we can back. Can we back? That is a problem. How many units, various buffs and debuffs within condition command. Okay. Elevation. Unselected tile. Okay. So I'm actually having trouble moving through this, in all honesty. It is not going away. Alright, we've got it away. We can right click to move things back down. So we'll move to here. And we've got to click it again. We do have that. We can make some attacking casting stones. This will cost us -1 point of health and 74%. So I don't really understand the purpose of throwing that stone. Let's just not do it. Let's end our turn here. We do have the direction we face at the end of our turns. So that seems useful. My friend just immediately attacks. Not under my control.
Friends of the Resistance, and no friends of yours.
Okay, I really don't understand what just happened there. I took a turn for no reason.
The Resistance.
I expected a warmer welcome than this. They're children.
Wait. Do you even...
You're Lancelot, and that makes you my
Lancelot is my name, true. How is it that you know me?
How could I forget you?
The Dark Knights laid torch to this town.
The Dark Knights? But we come from the kingdom of New Zenobia to the
Well,
east.
maybe we have a misunderstanding here.
And Lancelot of the Dark Knights has but one eye. You have two.
Ah, so somebody has
One
faked
eye,
being
you say?
Lancelot.
Would that he lacked my name as well.
No marauding knights us, but mercenaries come looking for work.
I
Interesting.
am Lancelot Hamilton, a holy knight.
So he's a
of
holy
Zenobia.
knight. and they are mercenaries looking for work instead of these bad guys here.
Our aged companion here is...
The Starseer, Warren Omer.
So maybe I'm just getting party members instead of going into a fight.
Gildus is my name. There now, no need to be...
I wasn't.
Forgive us, good knights. But
Okay, so we were going to attack
perhaps this
them,
meeting might benefit us.
and now we're going to hire them.
We are...
Vice is my name.
Since they're mercenaries, so it's not as odd that they would be doing chores for
I
us.
am the Sybil Karshua, and this is my brother.
That being said, they claim that they're holy knights, so it's a little odd. Now, I would definitely say stay on your guard here. We don't know these people at all.
Not be so quick to trust, sister.
Again, they claim to be holy knights. We don't know anything about that.
So young. Let's leave.
We mean you no harm. Is the benefit of the doubt.
Where are your manners, Denam?
Honestly, I don't feel like that is
I
poor
swear on my
manners.
blade,
So,
on my honor as a knight.
if somebody expects me to trust them by just walking in and saying, "Hey, I'm going to help you out," you know what? I'll take the guy at his word here. It's a video game, and knightly oaths and whatnot.
Already forgotten. Though you did give us quite... Now, do you think we might talk?
We have just the place.
Okay. We're inviting them into our secret hideout immediately. We have not hired them. We've not discussed any payment.
As
That
it
definitely
is,
seems
we
odd.
lack swords enough to face the Bakram share our deficit. A deficit they've remedied by joining
So Lotus sent them the Dark Knights Loslori.
Loslorian is an order under the direct command of High. They are said to be the greatest of the 16 Order. Yet he uses them not in open battle. They are his ears and his dagger.
And these Dark Knights, whatever you call...
So,
Interesting.
why are you come to our isle?
So there's an elite task force that should be spies, but is actually out pillaging and burning. That makes some sense that you would use your elite troops in battle here.
Do Lotus and Zenobia mean to
I'm
bring their
still
wars
not
to our
100%
shores?
sure I understand these other guys here.
Enough, Vice.
Your question deserves an answer. Yet we do not serve as knights. We were banished.
Ah, they're banished. So they're claiming to be holy knights, but
We're
they're technically
outlaws,
banished
no
and
place
outlaws.
waiting for us back.
We've come to find work, preferably.
I
So-
don't trust you.
Now I at
Don't
least
trust your sword.
somewhat understand
our
why they
fight.
might be offering help.
Vice.
They do want
please.
paid, but I think Vice is
Good night.
100%
You must forgive
in
our passion.
line by not trusting
There is
them.
nothing to forgive.
For one, we have to get Duke Ronway out of our...
Duke Ronway.
Not just us. He leads all the Walister. The Galgastani hold him captive in their castle.
So we are part of the third faction, a smaller
They plan to
faction that doesn't
execute
have
him,
really
the
any
rumors are to be
control,
believed. And we mean
kind of being
stop
smashed in the middle.
A duke? But if his purse matches his title, a little rescue work might...
Look, I'm sorry for not trusting you.
Then there's nothing to be gained jabbering on here.
I mean,
To
they have
Almorica
not much to
Castle.
gain by betraying us here. We're a minor to nothing military force.
A fight there would mean our deaths. I've seen enough of fight.
What about you, Denam?
No, this is our fight.
What if I told you we make for Almorica too? Not to aid you, but to fight for our own purpose. The arrow of the nobleman and the hunter may
Okay,
find
so
the
we're going to
same
talk
pair,
about what
though
their
one
goals
shoots
are
for
because I
sport
told them
and the
no.
other for his supper. What say we work together, while such...
Why not let him join us?
Good, then it's settled.
I'm fine with that. A little bit of shaky reasoning from some of this, but I also technically meant to agree with her and take their help.
I know how you must feel. Our father is dead. In all the world. You are the only one. Forgive me. I know.
Okay, I mean,
What's keeping you? Everyone's...
It doesn't seem like we really have the option to live our lives
can't
in
coddle
peace
him
here.
forever. He's no little
Maybe
boy
that
anymore.
is true.
Do not speak to me of my brother. He does not share your love.
I have no love for war, but I'd sooner die.
You would die on the...
You were the one who brought them in here.
Because when I find a tool well suited, at least one of us has the sense to recognize an
I
opportunity.
do believe Ketchua
You
seems
don't-
to be one of the
Is
smarter
that how you see people?
people here. I
As
don't
tools?
necessarily understand
expected
everyone's
more of a
motivations yet,
Sybil.
though. A Sybil must be a title of some kind,
I
or
only
a
want to
class,
save an end of
potentially
death.
some kind of a healer or a seer. Lancelot and his allies have joined us as guests. So party members, but not officially ours. We're going to be introduced to a world map here, placing a cursor where we want to go. Party will begin to move. Okay. And look at units, equipment, change classes, go to the Warren report. Warren report is an odd name for that. See more information about characters we've encountered. System menu to save our progress. Settings and data. Okay. There's a very cool looking map here. Quite a bit of spread on this. You can zoom out, that's nice. Strongholds are made up of battlefields that are fought back to back. Save our progress before beginning next battles. Strongholds you're stuck in until the battles are completed, using separate save slots within a stronghold. Okay, so basically save between different rounds. That is somewhat common practice. So we've got a mystery and a Gates of Almorica. We're going to have a battle here. I'm looking forward to trying the battle. We are 18 minutes in, plus I paused for about 5 minutes and cut out some of the intro there.
There's 2,000 goth on that one's head, boys.
I don't really know why they're killing our Duke. But vanquish this guy. He's level 3, about 400 health. Wonder if we will control all of these characters.
A narrow stream, scarce one pace across. Easy. But look before, nah. You can only jump to ground of the same height.
Okay.
One of the winged, like me, moves with no heed of height or terrain.
Seems
Even
fine
so,
as well.
rushing in alone without someone to watch your back is asking for an early grave.
I mean, basic tactics coaching.
Watch on the action to see who will move next. Avoid unnecessary actions and keep speed on your side. The distance a unit moves and the actions it takes.
Interesting. Okay, so if I do too much, it's going to make me slow.
It's called the attack turn. You can sort units by order of attack turn to quick.
Okay, can sort by attack
When a
turn.
unit's turn comes round, you can
Move,
command
act, or use skills. Got it.
What's more, you can issue these commands in any order.
It's good to know that your attack doesn't end your turn, so you could attack and then
Find
move
a
away.
unit out of range for a planned attack. Try moving it to a different.
Units begin battle with no MP.
The magical power and is generated over time.
Units accumulate. Powerful magic requires great...
Okay, so magicians are basically time bombs for people. So far, it looks like literally everything is out of my control except for 1 or 2 characters. This particular character is the one with the weapon attacks that we looked at earlier. Right click does move me out of things. So right now, there really seems to be no choice other than to move up and to end my turn. There's no reason not to face forwards. We'll go ahead and let our enemies take their turns. Everybody's just kind of moving straight forwards towards each other.
Skills are divided into 4 broad categories.
Okay.
Action, support, auto, and special.
We've got some skill descriptions here.
Learn skills as they gain levels. That just now. Auto skills will sometimes take effect before your...
Okay, it did not explain what the skill did is my main problem with it. It's basically doing everything for me, and it's explaining a lot of what's going on.
Must do more than learn a spell to wield it in battle. Assign spells to your units from the party screen.
Okay, so there's going to be some management in between times as well.
You'll need a class mark in order to change. Some class marks can be found for sale.
I definitely feel like what is happening here is way too much information all at once. I feel like we went from a really long story that wasn't really explained to really, really, really in-depth explanation of battle things that are not relevant yet. It's telling me how to change my classes, but I don't even know what any of these people's classes are, and it also seems as if only one or two of them are actually even mine.
There's no reason to go making things harder
It
on yourself
does
than they
seem like a
already
good
are.
thing that it seems like you'll keep your level no matter what. So meaning I'm not gaining a level in Knight and then also gaining levels in Archery. If I'm level 10, I can swap to whatever at level 10. That probably gives me a lot of
To
variety.
use common consumables, such as Mendleaf in battle, up to 4 may be ready. Best choose them with your
Okay, so consumables are choosable, but have to be done before the battle. You can't just select them during. I don't know if I love or hate that. Also, I don't know that I really understood how that exactly will work, because can I prepare 4 in total for my entire army, or 4 per character?
And darkness.
We're now introducing 8 elements. I don't know how to check an enemy's element,
Against earth and so on.
but other than that, looks like it's going to have a Pokemon-esque strength and weakness system. But again, I feel like they should really show me more of that. I assume I can click on these, but it continues to take control from me. Can't advance above the level of the party. That's interesting. Wow,
One whisper of
even
rumor,
that girl
or I can
is
smell a
out of my
trap.
control.
But not all rebels, huh?
Okay, so he's saying it's a trap. Makes complete sense to me.
Support skills are just that. Skills that... When I move, you'll notice yellow points.
I do, but you should probably explain what those yellow points of light do.
This is a support skill called Rampart Aura. Any foes entering the range of the aura will be unable to move further, and some support skills hinder the enemy's movement. Consider well your class and lay...
Okay, I mean, I'm really struggling here, mostly because I completely agree that considering support skills, considering positioning is good. I wouldn't know if anyone else had a support skill other than what was just explained to me there. I am truly in control of one unit, of which we can move, and I'm still not yet in range of attacking, it looks like. We might throw a rock here. Looks like we could cast a stone. It potentially will do 1 point of damage to one of these things. His element is lightning, it looks like. We can kind of see that here versus my water, so I am weak to him. So we either get a stronger, weaker, or null. Though I don't know if that means all of my attacks are automatically one way or the other. Let's go ahead and just throw a rock at this girl. It did indeed just deal 1 damage, so I have a ranged attack that does 1 damage.
Trap, and we walked right into it.
Apparently, he is very much not a fighter yet.
I've never let a Galgastani get the better of me. Focus, Vice. Our first duty is to... Don't lecture me on duty.
You should not speak to Denam so.
I would assume that I am somewhat of a de facto leader, or Denam is somewhat of a de facto leader. I would assume they get points for being behind. Hard to say. It didn't necessarily act as if it was weak. I'm a little concerned. I feel like some of these choices are poor, but I have little to no control.
Wait, you're no Walisters. I know a man from Lotus when I see.
Okay, so he recognizes the mercenaries. Again, this battle is primarily playing out for me. It's possible that I could just hit the speed up button here, and I am definitely going to do so. Probably should have done that earlier. I hit the left shift button and nothing happened.
Are you alright, Denam? You shouldn't let Vice get...
I'm fine, sister. Back.
I have thrown one single rock for 1 point of damage and not been in the fray at all. Sister is very concerned about me based on that. It seems like I should probably go ahead and move. I'm going to attack this guy from behind. That seems appropriate. We'll just short sword attack here. Looks like I can do almost 60 points of damage. We are equal in element. It just automatically parried me, so that didn't do much. Got a guy behind us, so we'll choose to do that. So far, my character is doing absolutely nothing. The mercenaries are mopping up, though. And it will be a clear win. However, it will be a clear win that I didn't necessarily have anything to do with. Now, we do have a collection of item here. Linen slops kind of looks like underwear, so I'm not super excited about that. Some King's Mead, which everybody should be stoked about. And a little bit of copper. Well, cannot speed it up any further than that. You know, I'm honestly sure this game ends up being fairly deep, but we are... There's really nothing for me here, right? And so I've kind of got a complaint about that early on. I feel like it threw a ton of information at me and then let me test none of it. There was absolutely no, here is the element system, now go put that into practice. Here is the spellcasting system, now go put that into practice. It was, here's a bunch of systems, but then it didn't give me the opportunity to really do anything. I've got the leader in front of me. From my perspective, it looks like that is literally the only bad guy left. Potentially this guy up here. So we'll attack him. We've got an 80% chance to hit him. And we'll see what happens. It does let me strike him for 50, but then move. So I can just move back a little bit and grab this loot. A short bow and some more underwear. Linen slops. I don't know what type of clothing a slop would be. So I am choosing to go ahead and consider it being underwear. Okay, so I took 3 turns in that entire battle. No, 4 turns. One of them I threw a rock for 1 point of damage. The other one I struck. It was very, very lackluster from a tactical perspective from my point. And honestly didn't really teach me anything either. It threw a lot of information at me, but since I then didn't act on any of that information, it seems a tad pointless. We do have marks, which they talked about, and so it does seem like I'll be able to turn a few of my characters into the Berserker class if I would choose. Now, okay, we've hit 30 minutes, so we have made it through some opening story and a little bit of the battle. For this particular one, I actually don't think I need to step back and take a lot of time to think about my initial impressions, my 30-minute impressions. I won't say that's good or bad, right? Sometimes there's just a lot to really think about. But I'm going to go ahead and hit the pause button on the timer here, and we're going to talk. Excuse me. So, from a positives here, I liked the opening where there was a lot of choice. It seemed like there was a fair amount of, like, answer this quiz about what your character is going to be, and it led me to believe a lot of that was going to influence the long-term way the game plays out, the long-term way the story plays out. And so that I was very appreciative of. I thought that was nice. I do not mind at all the old kind of 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, whatever it happens to be, the old style aesthetic. Now, for a game that has been remade or re-implemented, I think I expected that aesthetic to be stronger and sharper. I'm trying to think of what other games that I am thinking of, but let's go with like Bravely Default 2 or something of that nature. They weren't high quality graphics, but they had that classic feel with a modern polish to them. I don't know that I feel like this is enough of a modern polish, though I kind of like the general aesthetics of a classic game. So that's both a positive and a negative to me. I like the way it describes the depth of the battles and the way I'm going to be able to interact with units. That being said, as much as I would like to include that as a positive here, I didn't see any of that. So the negatives really are, I played for 30 minutes and I took what I thought were 3 turns. Those 3 turns were completely unimpactful and did not really teach me anything. I moved and I swung my sword once. I did not have a wide array of abilities or the ability to have any of the effects that were being talked about or thrown at for me. There were no real strengths and weaknesses of elements because all I was doing was swinging my sword. I had no support attacks. Any of the creatures that I were controlling had no support attacks or support auras, anything of that nature. And the magic casting ability wasn't something that I got to control either. Nor was positioning terribly relevant in the first one. I had all these mercenaries that were clearly far, far stronger, and they just did all the work for me with no input. So for the first 30 minutes, engagement is incredibly low, and that is definitely a negative. The other thing that I'm going to go ahead and call a negative here are they threw a lot of story at me early on. I got the impression that there were 2 factions that were fighting each other, as well as a small third faction that is kind of being caught in the middle. Now, I also got the impression that they were pseudo-rebels, but that they were not terribly powerful rebels or impactful rebels, and so the fact that they are then killing their duke to trap them when they seem to have much larger enemies or much more prevalent enemies didn't really make sense to me. And so right now I also feel like I really do not have a good gauge of the story, considering that that was the majority of the first 30 minutes. So I feel like what I've said was primarily negative here. I'm still excited about the game, but I am much more cautiously optimistic now instead of being kind of full-blown excited based on the nostalgia. So that's kind of where I'm at from the first one. I'm still going to go get ahead and give this a heavier shot, a longer playthrough, and we're going to see how it turns out. All right, we'll see you in the review.